million in our Encampment Resolution Fund grants for 20 projects in 17 California communities. That is amazing. This program helps local communities ensure the safety and well-being of people experiencing homelessness in encampments. And it's been so incredible to see the diversity of projects that are being awarded today. These communities commit to putting people first and provide them with supportive services and allow for pathways to permanent housing and resolve our encampments across the state. The grants that we are announcing today will provide support and services to nearly 3,600 people and provide permanent housing to nearly 2,200 of those individuals. Can we pause on that for a moment? That's extraordinary. 12 out of these 20 projects are designed to resolve encampments along the state right-of-way. We don't want our neighbors out there vulnerable, any more vulnerable than they already are. So this is a really significant component of the program. And they will address the encampments both in rural and urban areas throughout the state, from Humboldt counties in the north to Oceanside and Los Angeles counties in the south. But the common denominator that all of the 17 communities have are strong plans that help address the unmet need of our unhoused individuals who are living in encampments and move them to safe and stable housing. Thank you so much to the communities for your efforts to address homelessness in our state. We are in incredible gratitude of your partnership. Thank you to the staff of the California Interagency Council on Homelessness for their work of getting us to this moment and reviewing all of the applications. And it's now my great pleasure to introduce the San Mateo County Chief Executive, my former partner in crime, Mike Galicki.
Madam Secretary, thank you so much. And this is an incredible day. And I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Governor Newsom, for all the incredible work that you've done on the housing and homeless front. Look, I've been at this for more than 40 years in public service, and I can say there is no one, and I mean no governor, that has ever done as much as you have done on the homeless and housing front. And your vision and commitment as governor of this state, both financially and morally, has made sure that people live with dignity and safety, and allowing counties like San Mateo to move forward with projects and initiatives that move our unsheltered neighbors into permanent housing. And we're doing this every day because of your efforts. Let me just touch on Home Key a little bit. The governor's Home Key program has already shown great promise in San Mateo County. And anyone who doubts Home Key, I want you to come to San Mateo County. I want you to see the 600 people that we've housed. And this program, this grant that we're receiving today is going to augment those efforts. I want you to talk to the individuals and the lives that have been changed by these efforts here. This grant here that we received today is going to expected to serve hundreds of our most complex unsheltered individuals living across 26 encampments, some of these as big as 15 people living under bridges, along streams, and along our highways. These camps range in those various sizes, and we're determined to get these people housed. As we know, many of these people living in tents and cardboard boxes. Just think about what they went through with the recent storms. They're the most vulnerable people that we have in this community, and this grant will help us address those individuals. And many of them have been homeless for years, some of them chronically homeless. This will be the first opportunity that they get to get off the streets and get a roof over their head. The grant is building upon the existing homeless outreach systems of unified approach that are flexible enough and tailored to individual needs, and we meet people where they're at. This grant will be a full service mobile multidisciplinary teams that go out and engage these folks, these hot teams that go out and engage them. Certainly it's going to be key to moving people into interim housing and then permanent housing. The goal is to stabilize the hard to reach population, and we're doing that every day. And I just want to, again, thank you, Governor, for all that you're doing here. We will get to functional zero in San Mateo County. I promise you that with your support. Thank you very much. And now it's my great honor to introduce San Bernardino Mayor, the Honorable Helen Tran.
Hey, Mayor, we'll get you off mute.
Unmute myself. Good morning.
There you
Thank you, Mike. Good morning, everyone. I am Mayor Helen Tran, and I am honored to be here today with Governor Gavin Newsom and distinguished leaders around the state to discuss important updates regarding the next round of encampment resolution funding grants and accountability measures for local homelessness funding from the state. First, I would like to express my gratitude for this opportunity on behalf of the City of San Bernardino. The City of San Bernardino has met with a lot of challenges and obstacles with our homelessness issues. As you may know, the City of San Bernardino has the largest homeless population in San Bernardino County. Our community is deeply committed to addressing this pressing issue with compassion, innovation, and collaboration. I'm thrilled that San Bernardino will be receiving nearly $8 million in encampment resolution funding. This funding is a significant step forward in our ongoing efforts to provide essential support and resources to individuals experiencing homelessness in our city. This funding is a testament to the collaborative efforts of our local government, community organizations, and dedicated individuals who work tirelessly to support those experiencing homelessness. It is a reflection of our shared commitment to compassion, dignity, and practical solutions. I'd like to extend my heartfelt appreciation to our dedicated staff at the City of San Bernardino, whose tireless efforts are instrumental in addressing the daily challenges faced by our residents. Their hard work and unwavering dedication exemplify the spirit of resilience that defines our community as SB Strong. I also want to thank Hafsa Keka, the Senior Advisor of Homelessness, to the Governor and his staff for the invaluable support. Thank you for being such an integral partners in our journey towards creating a more compassionate and inclusive community for all. Most importantly, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to our Governor Newsom for his unwavering support and partnership in addressing homelessness. Your leadership, Governor, and dedication to this cause have been instrumental in securing vital resources for our community. Thank you for your continued commitment to making a positive impact, and we look forward to our continued collaboration in building a stronger, more resilient community for all. Thank you again, and now I would like to turn it over to Los Angeles County CEO, Fecia Davenport.
Thank you and good morning. Thank you, Governor Newsom, for inviting me to represent the County of Los Angeles today. And thank you to Madam Secretary Moss. I'm happy to have the opportunity to speak with you about some of the innovative programs now underway, and to thank you for making continued investments in solutions to address the housing needs of LA County residents. I'd like to talk about our encampment resolution program, which is a critical component of the county's comprehensive rapid response under the state of emergency that our Board of Supervisors declared in January of 2023. Our local program is called Pathway Home. By leveraging emergency powers and deepening our partnerships with local jurisdictions, Pathway Home is a full circle solution that brings people off the streets into immediately available housing, accompanied by a comprehensive suite of services, and ultimately into safe, permanent housing. I'm happy to say that Pathway Home is moving the needle. Since its launch just 8 months ago, 562 people experiencing unsheltered homelessness have been connected with safe interim housing. 302 dilapidated RVs being used as makeshift shelters have been removed from public spaces, and 95 people have transitioned into permanent housing. I know that we in government have a duty to be accountable and to use data to show our accountability, but the data doesn't always tell the whole story about people that we are actually helping every day. I'd like to briefly mention a gentleman named William, a participant in our Pathway Home program. William was among nearly 6 people surviving in an RV on the street of LA County, and he accepted our offer of interim housing during the first RV-focused Pathway Home operation in late August. He initially stayed at a hotel operated by a county nonprofit service provider where he was connected to benefits and received supportive services, including housing navigation. Just before Thanksgiving, William and his little dog moved into a permanent home. William's journey from encampment to apartment, his pathway home, took exactly 90 days. William and others like him are at the heart of Pathway Home here in LA County. They are the reason we do what we do. So on behalf of William and the County of Los Angeles, Governor Newsom, we are grateful for the continued support of the state. We are eagerly awaiting details on several applications for partnership, but I can tell you we are poised to put this funding to work immediately. And with that, I will turn it over to my esteemed colleague, Frank Dyer from Fresno County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that was close. Fresno Mayor Jerry Dyer. And let me just echo a lot of the comments that have been made about our gratefulness. And I want to say thank you, Governor, for the investment that you've made in the state of California, specifically in Fresno, through past allocations of home key dollars and HAP dollars and now IRF dollars with this announcement. And I want you to know that and the media to know that the city of Fresno has experienced incredible success with past state funds, including these encampment resolution funds. In fact, we're one of the few large cities in the state of California that have experienced overall reductions in homelessness, 5.6% last year. And in the last 3 years, we've housed into permanent housing through shelter with services over 3,445 people. And we could not have done it without this funding. So we're very, very appreciative of it. It all began with Project Off-Ramp on our freeways. At one time, we had over 650 people living on our embankments. And if it were not for these funds, we would not have had the success that we've had. We had over 80% of those folks accept services. We moved them into shelters that we purchased with home key dollars, motels that we converted. I can say that over 75% of those people had what we call a safe exit. And that's people going into permanent housing or moving in with family members. So those are successes that I don't care what the data says, I can tell you what the successes are in Fresno. And so, you know, overall, we're very pleased with this. We've received over $22 million in IRF funding over the last 2 cycles. And again, that's made a significant impact on our unhoused population. Services include mental health, shelter, outreach, permanent housing, and a lot more. And these are services I can tell you that are desperately needed in the city of Fresno. And like you've heard from other folks, it's changing lives. And with this 3rd round of funding, we're going to be able to expand our area of service north of our downtown area. We've already cleaned up our freeways. We have no homeless people on our freeways in all of Fresno, and I'm proud of that. But we're also going to expand north of downtown to include the vital business and transit corridors that link our downtown and our midtown. And this investment will continue again to change the lives of our most vulnerable. Our proposed IRF 3 funding will add 30 emergency shelter beds, some on-site mental health services, and housing stability case managers. We'll also continue to provide 65 emergency shelter beds that are dedicated to the IRF 3 encampment area. We'll be expanding our street navigation and outreach team to provide mental health and drug treatment services. And this funding will help us to secure 100 new rapid rehousing beds for IRF clients. And that is extremely important to us. So, and like other mayors throughout California, we completely understand the importance of accountability with taxpayer dollars. And we're ready for that accountability. And we want you to know that. And we're grateful for the support from our state, from you, Governor, specifically. And I know oftentimes leadership is lonely at the top because people on the outside do not get to see the successes as we do at the ground level. And we're on the front lines as mayors in our cities, and we are the ones that are executing, but we could not execute without the funding from you and the state of California. We know we have plenty of challenges going forward with mental health, people who are chronically homeless, but I can honestly say as a mayor of this city, we are well on our way to eliminating homelessness in our city. So it is my honor at this time to be able to introduce the champion of combating homelessness in the state of California. Somebody, I mean that from the sincerest part of my heart, somebody that has done more to eliminate homelessness than any other governor in our history, Governor Gavin Newsom.
I appreciate that, Mayor. Thanks for those generous words. Thank you for your extraordinary example and the great work you're doing. I'll brag on you some more, and to all of the speakers, and then all of you that are assembled, the beneficiaries of your hard work and the beneficiary of that recognition through this very rigorous process that we go through with a lens of accountability and outcomes through this encampment resolution program. Just a quick background and reminder, 4 years ago, we did not set aside as a state $1, not $1, targeted to encampments specifically. While there was some money given to cities and counties, it was not specified for its specific use. We put together, working with the legislature, a $50 million pilot project, and it was called Encampment Resolution Grant for a reason. It wasn't just about cleaning out or cleaning up encampments. It was about resolving the underlying issues that reside within and around the encampments. So there was a rigorous process of actually solving the issue, not just moving the issue along. That was wildly oversubscribed, that $50 million. We went back in front of the legislature and we asked for an additional $700 million. All told now, $750 million in this program. Today's announcement, $192 million for the 17 communities. We have 2 what we call COCs, 5 counties, and then 10 cities that are beneficiaries. As Tamika said, as Madam Secretary said, 2,200 people will be permanently housed, but that's not the whole story. There's an additional 3,572, roughly 3,600 people that have been identified for specific services. Again, these applications talk about specific outcomes, specific people, and timelines. And so we can quantify on the basis of that application and their approval, the grant tied to that expectation and tied, as Jerry said, the mayor said, to our hope of accountability. And that's really the spirit that defines the moment. This is a program that works. We want to continue to make investments in this space. We're not able to meet the needs of all of those that have requested and applied for this program, but we want to continue to apply the pressure to continue to really target in on what's happening on the streets and sidewalks as a disproportionate priority in this state. People have had it. They're fed up. I've had it. I'm fed up. I know the mayors and the city administrators are fed up as well. None of us are naive about the expectation that has been set in terms of our constituents. People want to see these tents and encampments removed, but they want to see them removed in a compassionate and thoughtful way. And we agree. And so this is a program that I think aligns with that, and certainly a program that builds on success. We also want to build on the success, as we were referencing, accountability to the work we've done in housing. A number of years ago, working with the legislature, we created a housing accountability unit. We've had over 40 actions all across the state of California, my old hometown in San Francisco and Huntington Beach, Elk Grove, elsewhere in the state. It's unlocked over 6,000 housing units that otherwise would have been killed, projects rather, that would have otherwise been killed. It's been very passionately embraced, enthusiastically embraced by the legislature. We want to take that model on housing, and we now want to roll homelessness into that unit. We'll be moving 22 existing personnel, not requesting new people, existing personnel into this new homeless and accountability unit. We want to really focus in on being partners. It's not about being sparring partners, but working partners in the beginning of projects and proposals to make sure that we're aligned, that the city and county and the COCs are aligned with the state and our vision, and we're addressing issues in real time. It's about technical assistance. It's not just about a punitive measure on the back end, but we do believe that there needs to be at least some stick on the back end. And there is a component part, a parallel part of this as well, where we want to roll in the next 7th cycle, we refer to as the RENA cycle, which is basically the housing planning cycle that we do every few years. The next one's in a few years. We want to make sure that we're not just planning for housing at all income levels, but that all income levels include people 0 to 15% of area median income. That include people 15 to 30% of area median income, low income housing, meaning homeless housing as well. So we want to wrap in to the RENA process now, homelessness as well. And with the sanction process that we have in place under RENA, the sanction process we have in place under the housing element, we also want to create a framework where there's a judicial process and there is a gradation of sorts of sanctions, again, in the spirit that we're going to work through any issues. So we're driving results, we're driving accountability. I say it over and over again, and I appreciate the mayor's comments about loneliness and not being on top. I feel like I'm on the bottom of all this with the weight of 478 cities and 58 counties. But really, this is a bottom-up, not top-down process. I say it about everything, but particularly in housing and homelessness. A state vision is realized at the local level. Localism is determinative. And that's really the spirit of driving this partnership of accountability. We take that accountability seriously ourselves, but we need to promote that at the county levels and the city levels as well. Mike is not someone that needs to be told that. Mike is doing an extraordinary job in San Mateo. Jerry does not need to be told that. He's done an extraordinary job in Fresno. And Mayor, I appreciate the work in San Bernardino. I love this. SB Strong, thank you for being here and your passion and partnership in this. In LA County, I mean, look, you're going to move the needle. You want to be big, you got to be big in big things, and that's moving the needle in the biggest county in the state, one of the biggest counties in the country, and one of the biggest beneficiaries, $50+ million today. And I thank you as the CEO of that county for all of your good work and being a great partner with us as well. So this is about partnership. It's about driving accountability. This is about breathing life and reinvigorating on what's working and moving the needle and continuing to move the ball and addressing this issue. And just one final point on all this. I love what the three of you said something. You said, forget the data. And you didn't say forget the data, but you said there's something the data doesn't tell you. And you started to tell stories and what lies beneath that. And so thank you for doing that, because so many people are so cynical out there saying, well, you put all this money, nothing works. And Mike, I appreciate you opened up by saying, hey, I can give you 600 people right there in the home key. Meet these folks. Don't tell me these programs aren't working. We know these things work. We know lives are being turned around. It's just the enormity of the task. We get it. And the need to scale this and the need to have everybody rowing in the same direction. Final words, and we'll open this up. Look, there are some counties, not LA, not San Mateo, I assure you, but there are some counties that don't put $1, not $1 of their general fund into addressing the issue of homelessness and housing. And with respect, some of those counties are the loudest critics on this issue and have big problems. And what we're going to be asking for is stronger partnerships going forward. I don't want to take cheap shots, but we've done some deeper dive and analysis here. And we want partners. We want people with skin in the game. We recognize we have to do more. We have to do better, but we have to do more and better together. And so that's just a preview as well of things to come. And that is zero reflection of the folks that just spoke. Quite the contrary. They're here as exemplars, as doers, not just dreamers in this endeavor. So Tamika, thank you for your team and their objective work. I mean, this from Humboldt to Santa Barbara County, not just San Mateo and Fresno City and the city of San Bernardino and LA. It's Oakland, Los Banos, Chico, Anaheim. These are projects that we look forward to getting underway very quickly here with this latest round, $192 million of encampment resolution grants. And by the way, This is a way, a pathway to the future, but we also need that pathway to be cleared with that grants pass case this next Monday. We're looking forward to oral arguments with the Supreme Court, which also will help us clear the path to more progress in this space. With that, Tamika, we'll come back to you and Izzy, and look forward to answering any questions.
Thank you,
Thank
Governor.
you.
Oh, go ahead, Secretary.
No, Izzy, I was just going to say thank you, Governor, and pass it to you.
Thank you, Secretary. We'll now transition to the Q&A portion of the program. If you are a member of the media and you would like to ask a question, click the raise hand icon at the bottom of your screen and then unmute yourself when called upon. Again, if you would like to ask a question, please click the raise hand icon at the and then go ahead and unmute yourself when called upon. Once unmuted, please restate your name and outlet before asking your question, and do indicate if your question is directed at a specific. With that, we'll go ahead and select our first person in the queue, which is Alex Michelson. Alex, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hi, Governor. Thank you so much. And thank you, Izzy. Alex Michelson from Fox 11 News here. Can you state in a real simple way how this money is going to tangibly improve people's communities? What are they actually going to see in their neighborhood due to this money? And as a follow-up, sort of on a point you're already making, but you know that especially when it comes to cities and counties, we have seen repeatedly more money thrown at this issue and the issue getting worse. Why is it different this time? Why should we trust everybody this time?
Yeah, well, the encampment resolution grants are the manifestation of accountability because they require specific prescriptive outcomes. They require a specific analysis to be done in terms of what the needs are of the population that we are trying to support. And they also address the issues of the quality of people's lives. And that goes to your question about tangible. It's not what you see, it's what you don't see. It's cleaning up these encampments. It's cleaning these sidewalks, taking the sidewalk backs, cleaning them up, though permanently, by not just pushing things from one part of town to the other part of town or out of town, and addressing the issue of mental health and substance abuse and housing needs. And that analysis has to be done in advance of the application being approved. And we will not approve an application without stress testing that those programs are set up, and all they're missing now is resources to actually produce the results. So that's what's fundamentally different in this program. And I don't know if, you know, LA County, we could talk a little bit more about some of the specifics you got. I mean, and all of you have the specific program that you have, you know, that you've applied for. Maybe you could talk more specific about a specific street and a specific encampment that you'll be cleaning up with these dollars.
Thank you, Governor Newsom, and thank you for the question. So for our particular grant, we have identified over 7 cities along our 105 corridor that we will be working with to place in interim housing about 600 people. And I absolutely agree with you, Governor Newsom. It's about what you don't see. We realize that this is the fundamental crisis of our time, and it has quality of life impacts every day. And so we want to lessen, mitigate, eliminate the impact of homelessness on our communities as people are walking to school, going to church, getting off the freeway, walking into the local business. We want them to be able to enjoy the benefits of living in LA County and the cities in LA County while we are simultaneously ensuring that people are housed and then ultimately permanently housed. Under our Pathway Home program, I didn't mention this earlier, but we have also housed many folks from interim housing to permanent housing, in addition to providing the services that they need to stay housed. And so it is a very tangible benefit and impact here in LA. And I would just lastly add that the Pathway Home program is just one of many programs that are in our arsenal to combat homelessness.
And
Thank you. Our next.
Oh, and forgive me, that final point's an important point, and I'll try to be as succinct as I can. This is one tool in the toolkit. And you know, look, I think, you think about what we've done just the last couple of years: care court, conservatorship reform, this Mental Health Service Act reform, with the accountability that's a component part of the Mental Health Services Act reform, a focus on prevention, a focus on housing that will be redirected in that space, the new bond money. You're going to be hearing a lot more about that, the new strike teams, and that's all about accountability, time to delivery, and different strategies in terms of getting these units up and operationalized at a half the cost of some of our longer-term traditional bond projects. You look at all of the other support and component parts that have been unleashed. It really is a different paradigm. And so I thought your question is spot on. It's the right question. It's the one we ask ourselves every single day. But I really think what's great about this program in particular, this one is targeted, it's specific, it's tangible, you can see it, and you see it in real time, real lives changed. The dollars go directly. It's not about subsidizing or failing more efficiently, subsidizing existing programs. This is about specific outcomes, specific targets out on the streets and sidewalks. You'll drive by something one day and it's gone the next. And that's what people want more of.
Our next question goes to Eitan Wallace. Eitan, please unmute yourself.
Thanks, Izzy. Thanks, everybody, and the governor for taking the time. First of all, just to whoever's doing the screen settings, listen, I work behind the scenes every day. Thank you for what you do. I know it's not easy. If possible, I'm just kindly ask when the governor's speaking, any chance to just keep it on him instead of the 20 screens, if possible. It's just better for broadcast. I thank you. I know it's a logistical matter. Thanks, everybody. Number two.
Probably me, Eitan. I was probably trying to get myself off the screen.
Very funny, Mr. Governor. Just very quickly, I'm going to ask, kind of related to Alex's question there, Mr. Governor. I know that audit just came out. I know there's a lot in that audit. I did speak to Democrats and Republicans, so concerned about that audit in the sense of not tracking at least all of the dollars and how they've been, the results they've led to. What was your reaction upon seeing that audit, and what do you want the people of California to know in terms of this funding you're announcing today, how you will track this?
Well, the reason we're doing this homeless now and housing accountability unit in many respects is responsive specifically to that audit. It is all about accountability. It's driving that accountability at the local level. As you know, anyone read that audit, it's primarily about the data at the local level that's not being collected. It's difficult. And I get it's hard for everybody, the pressures we put on. There's new money in this space. And so we've been driving a lot of progress and reforms. And we need everybody to catch up. And so the Housing Accountability Unit, the new RENA goals, the new sanction components, the judicial review process, that's all component parts of what we're proposing, the 22 existing staff that are being reprogrammed and prioritized in this accountability space. Again, I think is very responsive to the audit. Nothing in that audit, though, fundamentally to your question, surprised me. This has been a point, it's been a mantra. You've been hearing me say this for the last few years. We've got to drive this accountability agenda. And I hope folks know when they passed Prop 1, they did a big component part of that. That was all about accountability in one of the biggest areas of investment. And that's the $4 billion a year in the Mental Health Services Act space. That now has new planning components, new oversight, new auditing components that didn't exist before the voters adopted and approved them. So we're very, very mindful. And that's, I think, the spirit of the announcement today, and certainly the spirit more broadly of the announcement that will advance to codify, look to advance and codify with the legislature on the homeless accountability and the RENA reforms.
The next reporter in the queue is Sophia Bolog. Sophia, if you could please unmute yourself.
Hi, Governor. Sophia Bolag from the San Francisco Chronicle. Wanted to ask you about a little bit more detail about this homelessness accountability unit that's going to be part of the housing accountability unit. What kind of housing specifically is going to be required under these new RENA guidelines? Is it going to be permanent supportive housing, shelters, SROs, tiny homes? Like, what would qualify, and what are you hoping to see more of as part of this new push?
Well, I'm blessed to have the secretary who's quite literally drafting the detailed response to that. And let's ask Tamika to respond to that more specifically as she's in the middle of that process as we speak.
Sure. So to begin with, it's going to include our HAP funding program, which is the resources that we provide to local jurisdictions to address all manners of housing, both interim, permanent, prevention services. These are very flexible dollars that jurisdictions are utilizing locally to address the crisis. And so to begin with, the unit is really going to be focused on that revenue stream and making sure that those dollars are going to communities, and we're really seeing the sort of reductions that we expect to see. I think, as the governor said, we are beginning this process, and the 22 staff that he referenced will certainly be integrated with our housing accountability unit, and those folks in particular will be overseeing the grants program for the HAP funding to begin with, and that has a broad range of housing options that are eligible within that funding pot. But I think that that's the other piece to this puzzle, right? Is that we are not just looking at one resource and one tool. We're really trying to be much more coordinated across all of the funding streams that relate to our homelessness and housing investments, and making sure that we have metrics and can drive results locally and at the state level. So more to come on that, but that's where we're starting.
And one of the things, just on this, Sophia, one of the things we decided to do, and we've been working with a number of legislative leaders as well in terms of this broader issue around accountability. As you know, we required under the HAP these broad strokes accountability plans that have 6 specific metrics. There's a bonus pool, there's component parts. We want to take that next level of enforcement. That's the existing program that we have for housing, and we don't want to reinvent the wheel. And I think that's what's wonderful about this, the ability to sort of plug in to an existing and successful program, at least broadly, has been. We're still iterating on the housing accountability. I'm not being naive about that, but we want to build off that success and that integration, the housing and homeless components, the oversight of these grant funds at a deeper and richer level than just having these annual plans that we review. That's more dynamic and has an iterative day in, day out process is at the point that's missing. And so I think that's the spirit that we're going to bring to this. And that allows us to hit the ground running as well. So we don't have to set up a whole new system, a new set of programs.
So will those metrics include measurements of actual homeless populations in communities? And if so, how would you measure that? Would those be through point in time counts, or is there some other metric you would rely on?
Well, you could talk about, Tamika, we have those as existing component parts of the broader homeless accountability plans, but maybe you could talk more specifically.
Yes, so we are point in time counts is one of the data sets. We also have our HDIS data system, which is the state's system that coordinates 44 COCs across the state of California's data around individual people being served, how many housing crises are we literally interrupting for individual people. So it's that level of specificity that we are expanding the accountability for. So yes, it's tracking how many folks are housed, it's tracking how long they're housed, what solutions were and services were provided to those individuals and households. So we have that level of data that we've been refining over the last couple of years.
Could cities lose funding from the state if their homeless populations don't decrease?
Well, look, it's a fair question. I'm not interested in funding failure any longer. So I'm going to speak for myself. There's one guy that's got 3 more appropriation cycles in front of him. I want to see results. Everybody wants to see results. I want to see, and I want to prioritize. Humbly, I submit the reason we're highlighting this is self-evident, because this is a great program and it's working and it's a significant amount of money. I think it's the reason you have so many folks, the recipients on the call today. Encampments, what's happening on the streets has to be a top priority. People have to see and feel the progress and the change. And if they're not, or counties are turning their back or aren't participating in funding, I'm not interested in continuing the status quo. This is not about the status quo ante, quite the contrary. And again, part of Prop 1 and the new plan requirements on all funding sources and streams as it relates to mental health, those plans have purpose, and there's an audit and oversight function, and there has to be and will be accountability. And I've made this clear with the legislature. The legislature's made it clear to me. We're going to take much more oversight, more scrutiny in existing programs. We don't want to see this money supplant other money that was going to be used or wasn't used for this or that. There's a lot of, I'm not interested in the games here. As I say, folks are on here, people that talked are here talking for a reason, because they're the real doers. They're the best practices in this state. And we want resolve, but we want results. And again, this housing accountability unit is working. And so we're not just papering this over by bringing homelessness in. This means we mean business. And this RHNA frame allows us that hammer as well. And as you know, Sophia, you've been writing a lot about what we have as it relates to those sanctions. Just ask the folks at Huntington Beach. They've been playing us for fools for years and years and years. And I hope you quote that. And we're in court. We're litigating with them. We mean business down at Huntington Beach. These guys are playing politics. And so we mean business in terms of really driving accountability now, because this is fundamental. The fate and future of this state is affordability. I care about this state. I care about our reputation. I care that people can't afford to live here, can't afford to raise their family here. I care that people visit here and go, what the hell's going on with the encampments and what's going on the streets and sidewalks? And so this, I got 3 more years. We've raised our game in this state. We've done more than any administration in decades to address these issues. And now we need partners, not sparring partners. We need more Jerry Dyers. We need more mayors that just get it and get things done and don't play politics. So that's that. I want to fund that. I want to fund more of that, less of the folks that just sit there and act like they're passive victims in this effort. And forgive me, but this triggers a lot of intensity for me, because it's about people's lives. People are dying on our watch. People are dying on the streets. And we all have a responsibility to do better, all of us, not just the state. It's not about blaming folks, pointing fingers anymore. All of us, accountability, drive accountability. Get out there. Let's get this stuff fixed. Let's clean up our streets, save people's lives. Let's meet the public where they are.
Governor, if I might add to a couple of things you said there, because I think oftentimes we only point to who's out on our streets, and we don't look at the successes we've had, but there's a number of other things that are contributing to the homeless population, with inflation and the cost of living and energy cost, and more people being confronted with the reality of being forced out onto the streets. And then mental health is real. Drug abuse, drug addiction is real. And some of those things we do not have total control over. You don't, I don't, at the local level. But the reality is we're being held accountable at the local level every single day by the folks in this community that are calling my office about the homeless population. So I want to make sure that, from the outside, the media understands that we welcome accountability for those things that we're responsible for. How many people are we helping off the streets? How many people are we getting into shelter, providing counseling and services to? How many of them are we moving into permanent housing? I think those are the things that we need to demonstrate, and we will demonstrate and have demonstrated. But we have had tremendous success as a state, and it's unfortunate. I think at times it's frustrating at every single level for people to be critical when they haven't seen the successes. They don't know the true numbers of people we've housed. Over 3,400 in Fresno in 3 years. Those are real numbers. Those are real lives that have been transformed and changed. And so I share your passion. I appreciate your passion.
Oh, thanks, Mayor.
The next reporter in the queue is Jeremy White. Jeremy, if you could please unmute yourself.
Hey, Governor, thanks for making some time for us today. I'm sure you were sensing a theme with these questions, but I think we're all interested in this in light of the audit that found that the state was having trouble tracking outcomes for this specific encampment resolution grants program. I understand you said that there is going to be more rigor in the conditions that cities and counties lay out when they're applying for these grants. What about on the back end? If you determine that they've spent it improperly, they haven't made a difference, is there some sort of penalty? I mean, that money obviously can't be clawed back. So what happens if somebody gets this money and
Well,
you
they
determine
sure as
after
hell
that?
shouldn't get another penny. They did something, if they didn't use the money wisely. So I want to make sure Tamika and her team that are scoring these look at those next applications and say, no, thank you. I don't think that's even very complicated response.
And a follow-up question. I think you touched on the fact that the Boise case is likely to go before this, excuse me, is going before the Supreme Court on Monday. What's your level of concern that an adverse ruling here could prevent cities and counties from being able to use this money effectively? Are you going to wait on putting some of that money out the door until you see how the High Court acts?
No, this encampment resolution grant addresses a lot of those concerns as it relates to Boise and Grants Pass. And that said, we still need the flexibility and the common sense that would be provided under a more lenient interpretation. That's why we did the amicus brief. That's why we'll be tuning in to the oral arguments on Monday. And we're hopeful, but we can't wait. We're not going to wait. To your question specifically, we cannot wait. People they're fed up. They want to see action and no more scapegoating or finger pointing. This is a real issue. The impediments under Grants Pass and the courts have imposed. It's a real issue. It's not us abdicating, however, responsibility. We will be creative regardless of the outcome. This creativity that's imbued in this program is a perfect proof point of that.
Thanks, Governor.
Thanks.
Our next reporter in the queue is Lindsay Holden. Lindsay, if you could please unmute yourself.
It's Lindsay Holden from the Sacramento Bee. I just kind of following up on some stuff Sophia asked. Are you suggesting that jurisdictions use HAP money to meet the new RENA goals? And will the new accountability unit eventually apply to like all of the state's other programs, the encampment resolution grants, home key, et cetera? Or is it eventually, it sounds like you're just focusing on HAP right now.
Well, it's HAP plus from my perspective. It's homelessness, period. It's homelessness and housing, homelessness and housing. And we'll broadly define, we'll fill in the blanks, we'll work with the legislature. We can move some of this very easily through the process, through executive actions, reorg, and then there'll be a legislative process that we'll undertake as it relates to more of the sanctions regime under a RENA framework, very similar to what we've done on housing, and we'll work with the legislature on that.
Okay, just to quickly follow up on that topic, counties have asked for more consistent funding stream that's not awarded just year by year, especially in regard to HAP. Is that something you would consider?
Well, they're getting it as it relates to the Mental Health Services Act, $1 million to the issue of housing, period. I don't know what they're referring to beyond that. That's an extraordinary amount of money, predictable source of new funding to the counties, a third of that money on an annual basis. So look, I love counties. I love my cities. I was a former county mayor. I was a former city mayor. Let's go. I know we work with folks every day. We continue to work and iterate, more tools in the toolbox than ever. Let's go on conservatorship. Let's move. You don't have to wait. Let's go on care court. You don't have to wait. Resources are there. Let's have a resourceful mindset. It's not about, to the point, it's not just about spending more money here. It's about accountability at all levels. And we listen to the counties that housing predictability and funding on an annual basis was important. There's a billion plus reasons that I can point to on an annual basis that I think they should be enthusiastic about that new redirected opportunity.
Our next reporter in the queue is Ashley Zavala. Ashley, if you could please unmute yourself.
Hi, Governor. Ashley Zavala with KCRA. I have already had my housing and homelessness questions answered, so I have an off-topic one for you about some activity in the legislature this week. Senator Shannon Grove's bill to go after the consumers of the child sex trafficking industry faced what some might consider hostile amendments, changes to exclude 16 and 17-year-olds from being protected under that proposal. I wonder if you planned on getting involved at all in this discussion this year, as you did last year on any of this?
Well, what suggests we weren't involved, in at least trying to get it out of committee. And so we got it out of, it's out of committee. I applaud the author, co-authors as well. And I applaud Senator Grove for the work she did last year. And I appreciate your reference to the work Speaker Rivas did on that as well to get that bill to my desk. And I look forward to getting this bill to my desk in a way that I'll sign it. We have some work to do, but I deeply appreciate the direction that Senator Grove is going, and I'm mindful that those 3 amendments, one in particular, that there's some work to do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question goes to Sean Hubler at the New York Times. Sean, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, hello, Governor. You spoke a little about the grants pass case that the Supreme Court's going to be hearing next week. I wonder if you can talk a little bit more about the importance of getting that clarity from the court. And I'm also interested in, what does it say that in calling for the court to weigh in, as California has, that the state is now aligned with a lot of conservative organizations and officials, places like the Goldwater Institute and so on?
Yeah, I don't know about the latter part of that question. We're just aligned with common sense. To me, this is not ideological. This is, just frankly, it's about, there's a morality to this. I've been on the front lines of this for years and years and years, as I said, as former, not just mayor, but also a county supervisor, and as governor directly as it relates to trying to clean up encampments myself. You see me out there in the streets, you see me out there in overpasses, and we had direct issues in Oakland when I was out trying to clean up 4 encampments there. I was told we couldn't do it. It made no sense to me. I said, where's the compassion? I was there with my non-homeless czar, Jason Elliott, our right hand here in the governor's office. And we still have nightmares around one of the encampments where I think felt like a scene out of one of Raiders of Lost Ark, where thousands and thousands of rats appeared, running all around us, up us. It felt like up our sleeves. I think we were exaggerating in our own quiet panic. Needles strewn everywhere, feces everywhere. No compassion whatsoever, leaving people in those conditions when we had an alternative. But the judge was saying you can't use that alternative because of this court ruling. So it's very frustrating. This is, to me, just about common sense, not about ideology.
Thank you, Governor. Our final question goes to Janie Har. Janie, if you could please unmute yourself.
Hi, it's Janie Hart from AP, and I wanted to quickly check the 192 million you guys are talking about today. That comes from the 750 million already appropriated? Okay. And then if I could ask about the enforcement part, it sounds like you want eventually that this new unit in the AG's office to audit and enforce cities that are spending money on homelessness, to make sure that they're doing what they say they're doing. Is that correct?
Well, producing outcomes, certainly what they're saying they're doing, to work in advance of the grant process in real time to address technical assistance and needs. I'll give you a proof point, and Tamika, you could talk more about this since you run the unit at HCD. The work we're doing on housing, just as a corollary, we look at planning commission notes. We anticipate the meetings and hearings. We work with local planning directors and county administrators and others to make sure that our voice is heard in real time, that it's shared. Try to avoid as many surprises as we can in that process. Would be a similar process here as these dollars are put forth. The grant process is not just a notice of funding availability, but when the grants are actually released, that we have real-time engagement. And it's not after the fact or after an audit produces some suboptimal results. Perhaps, Tamika, you can talk more prescriptively or specifically, rather.
I think you just hit the nail on the head, Governor, about the technical assistance that we're really excited to bring, intensify, in fact, to this process. The fact of the matter is we want our cities and counties and our state to succeed. We've talked about it all morning. no one wins when we are not able to address the homelessness crisis in our communities. And so leaning in real time, providing that technical assistance, as well as real time problem solving and accountability. Having come from a region where working with local and county governments was my primary job, I know the communities want that. And so this is our opportunity to deepen this partnership, as the governor's been referencing, and not only do the technical assistance, but when we see folks not performing, that there's a consequence to that. And I think that that is both an exciting component of this work because it means mutual accountability. And I know folks around the state are excited for that.
And then if I could follow up with the housing element kind of situation. So you would also then require cities and counties to plan for super low additional housing. And if they did not follow through, the AG's office could take action, sue them in court.
Yeah, ultimately, we'd like to apply the similar process of judicial process and review as it relates to what we've already worked with the legislature to advance on housing. So it'd be a similar construct again in the next arena cycle.
Governor, with that, we are at time.
Thank you all. I appreciate it. Thanks for the patience and all of you. And thank you and congrats. Again, this is not our work. This is the work of those that submitted these applications and their expertise and leadership. And we're blessed with 4 extraordinary leaders that joined us and shared their voice. And we're really grateful for that and for them. And we look forward to more to come in this space. Thank you all very much for being with us today.